So since we know so much about the normal distribution now, we know that we have norm dist and we have norm inverse at our disposal, and life is grand. The deal is that that's only going to be grand if we know that our data was normal, right? So this whole norm dist and norm inverse thing and everything we're doing with StatCrunch and Excel here, it's really powerful stuff. But unless you know your data is normal, you can't really use it. So we need a way to quickly assess whether our data is normal or not. And there's a lot of ways to do this, but we're just going to learn one way, which is to look at and make a normal probability plot. Namely, it's a plot that looks like this. This is actually made with Minitab. When you make them with StatCrunch, they won't be nearly as pretty. That's okay. And you want to look at the dots, and you want to make sure that they form basically a line. If you see dots outside of the boundaries of normal, literally, right? So these outer boundaries, those are like the boundaries of normality. So if the dots are outside of those boundaries, then it is not normal. Okay? So for example, this particular one is totally normal. Normal because all the points follow a line, or you can say are within the boundaries. Okay? So that one's normal. Now what about the next one? Hold on. Oops. Didn't mean to do that at all. All right, there we go. Look at this one. Right? In the setup, it doesn't really matter. I mean, read it, don't read it. I just got it from a real data set. Just so you know, I didn't make this stuff up. And this one's totally not normal. You can see that the points are not following a line because the points do not form a line. It's not that they have to be a perfect line, but they've got to, sort of be linear. And this is totally not linear, and they're not within the boundaries. Okay? All right, so that's all there is for that. Now, you don't actually see what the original data was. Well, actually, it's right here, but you don't get to see like a histogram of it or anything. But in looking at this picture, you can tell it wasn't normal. All right. The only other thing I can make you do is make you do it yourself, right? So I have this data set right here, which is the average temperatures outside McDivitt Hall. Yes, I made it up. Shh, don't tell anybody. Okay, so we've got these numbers, and you would just paste them in, or if you don't have a paste feature because you're working with a PDF, just type the numbers in, whatever. And actually, we don't want them in Excel because Excel does not do this. So we're going to have to go to StatCrunch. And just for a second, let me make it. I want to make it so this is big enough that you can actually read it. I'm sure your tiny screen does not work well with this. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right. So, matter of fact, I'm going to do it again. Hold on. There we go, just so we can see it a little bit better. Okay, so here are our numbers. Now we're going to go to graphics. And I believe it's the QQ plot. As you say, temperature, create graph, and there it is. And, they got a little curve to them, but that's okay. I mean, what you're looking for is basically for them to not be falling outside of that line, right? And of course, this particular graph doesn't draw the boundaries for you, so that kind of stinks. But you don't want to see something just totally out of whack. Here, let me just copy this and paste it into my Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so remember what you're looking at. When you look at those, you sort of want to look at the boundary lines. Even though you can't see them, you can kind of imagine they must be out here somewhere. And these points are basically all within those boundary lines. Yeah, it's got a little S to it, but I'm not going to worry about that so much. I mean, in general, the points are close to that line, so we're good. And in case you're curious, I just made it with Minitab so you could see. It's got a little bend to it, but that's all right. It's still within those boundaries. Now, of course, you don't have Minitab, so you can't do that. But you just kind of want to be able to eyeball it. Do the points basically, form a line. Are they not doing anything just completely wacky like they were in that other problem? Oops, and I better paste it in right here too. Here, copy. And then I'm going to paste into the notes. There they are. And then you can say, yep, it's normal, because it basically forms a line. And I'll put that, I'm just going to copy and paste what I wrote up here. I don't have the boundary portion, though. I can't really write that. Right? So they're not within any boundaries, but I mean, they're within my imaginary boundaries. They're along with my imaginary friend. right? So you're just kind of eyeballing whether you think those points are roughly close to that line, which they are. Okay, so we learned how to do that. We are all done with section 7.3. I know it was the fastest section in the entire course. We've got it saved here, so I'm going to save. And that way my technology assignment is, when I close it, will be ready to submit online. All right, I hope that was wonderful for you for Chapter 7. I will see you back here for more lecture notes for Chapter 8. See you then.